Do you think that thought process helped you because to be able to spend time, being a pro boxer or whatever else you want to be able to do, I mean, you must have did a good job then of pulling yourself out of the day-to-day minutia. I mean, Steve and I always talk about this as just so difficult is like, I don't know, maybe you see an order come across and you're just like, well, like, what the hell? We have processes. Why was it short? What was this issue? To be able to spend that time not on that business in general, was that a result of focusing on the biggest problems and trying to ignore the rest? Like, did you find yourself good at that, or do you still struggle with that anyway, like everyone else?
You got it. No, I don't know why I had this ability, but yeah, I mean, you have to manage via metrics. The hard thing is defining your metrics, but once you got them defined, you just manage via metrics. And like, yeah, people get in the weeds saying, like, especially in manufacturing, it's easy. There's a lot of moving parts in a factory, and you can go nuts saying there's a problem here, there's a problem there. There's problems all over the place. In manufacturing, you don't have 100% perfection. And when you have high volumes, right? Like, let's say you got 99.9% perfection, but you're shipping a million orders a year. There's a lot of defective orders, but you got to look at your metrics and say, 99.9% are good. You got to look at your costs in a general sense. You can't get wound up about, for example, like if I'm in the factory and people are taking an extended lunch, I don't really care. Like you can't look at stuff like that. You got to look at your overall productivity metrics, right? Whereas like maybe other manufacturing managers get in the weeds and they're like, why are people doing an hour lunch instead of they're doing an hour, 15-minute lunch instead of the hour lunch that we, allotted for them, and we're losing money on that 15. It's like, no, you got to look at your overall numbers.
Anthony, where do you spend? So like, I imagine Sticker Mule is an engineer or a manufacturing kind of marvel. And then there's the technology, right? Your actual, like your tech stack. And then there's the sales and marketing. Where do your passions lie? Where do you spend most of your time?
I did everything at one point, right? Because I started the company. So I did all the customer service for the first year or two. I ran the factory. I did everything. So, once you start doing, like, the hardest thing in business is growth. So, in the beginning, growth was fairly easy, but the hardest thing in business is growth. So I spend most of my time there, but at the same time, I focused on solving the biggest problems that are like in front of us. So at times, like, growth is coming very easily, and we have issues in manufacturing. At times, like, growth is like more of a struggle, like, right, and we need more creativity there. And so I'll spend more time thinking about what we can do to like get growth going. We've talked about this for a while. It's kind of been a back and forth. Like, since we don't have investors, like, we aren't pressured to just grow as quickly as possible and do it in an unpleasant way. So I've never wanted to like grow so quickly I stress the team out. So yeah, I kind of go back and forth between focusing on growth when that's an issue and focusing on back end operations when that's it.
But like, okay, let's say like when you decided to bring merch on board and now you're doing DTG on demand, right? And I don't know, I'm gonna assume Cornet's probably whatever. Like, do you go hire people that are experts in DTG on demand and merch, or do you guys try to develop yourself? Or like, when you're like, I want that, what do you do?
We got a lot of experience within the company, so we just we figured things out. No, we don't go hire like experts or consultants or anything like that. We got a lot of talent within the company. We use our network though. Like, one thing in business, right, is called user resources. So I got my Rolodex, the people that I rely on, people that work with me, got their people they rely on. So I don't know. We use our resources, the people that are available to us, and we figure things out. We got good relationships with our vendors and so on and so forth. So I don't know how we figure things out. We just figure them out.
But with the manage with metrics part, is it, if a metric that you don't like or you want it to improve, are you telling the person that's responsible for that, like, hey, look, all right, by the end of this quarter, we need to get this to this? Then you just hear back next week and see, hey, where are we at? And that's the delegation.
Sometimes it works that way. Like, first thing is, as soon as you got metric in place, like, the metric automatically improves. So that's step one, and then people tend to be able to do more than they think they can. I don't know, they have a funny story. Our engineers, they worked for years on a pretty cool machine, and they were very proud of themselves to get me the first version. I said to them, this machine's great, but we need like 20 of them, and you're going to eat up all the floor space. So I said, we can't order 20. We're not ordering them, we're making them in house. But I said, I can't internally order 20 of these machines. I said, first, before we can roll out this technology to the entire company. You got to make it twice as fast and half the size. That's not possible. Like, they were so proud of themselves, right? And they said, oh, you got to make it twice as fast and half the size. And, they were able to do it, believe it or not. So, yeah, you got to just you put goals in front of people and people, I don't know, you got a good team to figure things out. So I think, right, I'm not the only person that operates this way. Elon Musk did a pretty good job, right? When Twitter had the multiple data centers, right? That's called X now. They had the multiple data centers. And he said, I just want one. And then there was, I don't know, I saw the story. He went to California. And he just pulled the plug and shut the data center down because people thought it couldn't be done. I said,
he brought in the kitchen sink, literally.
Our internal engineering really spent 3 or 4 years to develop a machine. I said, no, this is a great machine, but I want it twice the speed and half the size. And 6 months later, they did it. So, they were happy. I was happy.
Are you a pretty hard person to please at Sticker Mule? Does your team, sometimes my team's on eggshells around me because they're like, we don't know what he's going to say. We don't know if he likes this, if he's happy, sad.
Anthony's also a pro boxer too, so.
Yeah,
it has to lean towards that.
No, I'm serious. You do have a wild card personality, right? You've done some wild things, sent some wild emails.
In terms of how I interact with people, I've always addressed people based on their pay grade, right? So it's higher expectations the more you make. Only 5 people report to me directly. They know, right? People make jokes. Oh, this is Elon's handler, so and so. Highly skilled people. Sometimes it is that way. So, am I difficult to deal with? If you're at the highest level of the company, and you're making substantial earnings, I have fairly high expectations. But these are people that have known me for a very long time, and they're friends of mine, and so we've known each other for a very long time. We work together very well. I do people that want to get promoted and report to me directly. Sometimes I say, be careful what you wish for. But anyways, I look at people, based on their pay grade. If you're making a ton of money, I have high expectations. Depending upon where you are in the company, the expectations change dramatically.
Which is fair. But I'll tell you on the flip side, I feel like sometimes though, I may be afraid to lose that person. And so I'm not as holding them to a bar, but that's probably the wrong way for me to think about it.
Well, you got to make people feel good too, right? So I'm a big believer. So I think everyone say when anything gets frustrated, he's generally fair. I don't get frustrated about silly stuff, right? So you can't just be getting up. You can't be constantly difficult, right? So I'm praising people a lot too. This is interesting. I look at it like this, right? You got to bank political capital, emotional capital people. Through praise, through doing nice things for them. And then, that gives you the right to be demanding at times. But if you're just demanding and nothing else, it's not going to work. But, I do things, whatever. You could do little things to win points with people. You stop by Starbucks and you grab coffees for your team rather than just for yourself. Or you give people praise when they do good work. My co-founder is 82 years old, and he was incredible at doing really impressive things and then giving all the praise to his subordinates. I didn't understand that at first, but you gotta, if you make people feel good, it gives you a right to be a little more demanding. I think probably people like Elon Musk make people feel great. They like working for him, and that gives them the right to be a little more demanding at times.
You brought up Elon a couple of times. Who else do you look up to?
It's not too many people. Not too many people, to be honest. I don't really, I'm not too many people.
I still have to read that Walter Isaacson Elon book. Did you read that?
Either. I like boxers, Mike Tyson. Who do I look up to? Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson. People that are very successful in different areas, but in the world of business, really, not too many, maybe not too many people, maybe people from eras gone by that are no longer here anymore for me to really pay attention to. But, in business, Elon, outside of business, Mike Tyson, Michael Jackson's no longer with us, but, similarly impressively talented